The Berman family lived a quiet, seemingly normal life in the suburban neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Elizabeth Berman, a 31-year-old schoolteacher, and her husband, David Berman, a 34-year-old salesman, had been married for 7 years. Together, they raised their 3-year-old daughter, Amanda, in a cozy home tucked in a peaceful neighborhood. On the surface, their lives seemed ordinary, but beneath that calm exterior, something far darker was festering. On a cool fall evening in 2000, Elizabeth's mother began to worry. She hadn't heard from her daughter in 2 days, which was unusual given how close they were. Acting on instinct, she went to the Berman house. The porch light was still on, and the front door was slightly ajar. Pushing it open, she stepped inside and froze in horror. Elizabeth and David were lying motionless in the living room, both shot multiple times. Their bodies were splayed across the floor, the silence of the home deafening. In Amanda's bedroom, the sight was even more gut-wrenching. The little girl had been strangled to death, her tiny form lying peacefully in her bed, as if asleep. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing of value appeared to be missing. The house was undisturbed, neat, and eerily quiet. Police arrived and began combing the scene. Everything about it felt cold and calculated, as if the killer had taken care not to leave any obvious evidence behind. With no immediate suspects and no clear motive, detectives turned their focus to the family's inner circle. It wasn't long before cracks began to show. David, once seen as a friendly, easygoing man, had a hidden side. Beneath the surface, he had been drowning in gambling debts. Investigators uncovered a dangerous pattern. David had been involved in underground betting, borrowing from shady lenders, and falling deeper into a financial hole. Elizabeth had grown increasingly worried. She'd confided in a close friend that she was considering leaving David if he didn't change. The deeper detectives dug, the more it seemed that David's secret life had finally caught up with him. His creditors were known criminals, some with histories of violence. One name kept coming up: Timothy Lee Thompson, a former associate of David's in the underground gambling scene. Thompson was no stranger to the police. He had a record: extortion, robbery, and rumored connections to violent loan collections. His financial situation had also recently worsened. In fact, Thompson had been linked to a robbery on the very night of the murders. Yet, without physical evidence, the trail ran cold. For 4 long years, the case remained unsolved. The Berman family's story slowly faded from public memory. But in 2004, a key witness came forward. They had seen Thompson near the Berman home multiple times in the days before the murders. He had been nervous, agitated, and looking over his shoulder. The police finally had a new lead. Investigators revisited the case, this time using more advanced forensic technology. DNA samples and fingerprints were analyzed with renewed precision. In a search of Thompson's home, they discovered a blood-stained shirt and a handgun. The weapon was a match to the one used in the murders. When confronted, Thompson denied everything. But hours into the interrogation, the pressure broke him. He confessed. He had gone to the Berman home to demand payment from David. Things escalated, and when David resisted, Thompson shot him. Elizabeth was killed moments later. He strangled Amanda to silence any potential witness, though she had likely seen nothing. The confession, paired with the forensic evidence, was enough. In 2006, Timothy Thompson was convicted on 3 counts of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Justice had finally been served, but it brought little comfort. Elizabeth's mother, who had discovered the bodies, was left permanently scarred. The community mourned the senseless loss of an entire family. The case served as a haunting reminder of how secret lives and addiction can spiral into violence. David's hidden gambling world had ultimately destroyed everything he held dear. The memory of the Bermans lingers still, an ordinary family caught in the crosshairs of desperation, secrets, and a killer who showed no mercy.